Okay, we're live. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Trader's Journal. It's Wednesday again in November. The year is going super fast. Okay, so looks like we're live with everything. Sound is working. Okay, we're going to get straight into this because we're busy. We want to get back to our trading. So today we're going to talk about why trading identity matters. And I'm going to tell you why this is the fastest shortcut to becoming a consistent trader. If you can focus on identity, it really is the answer. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this at the end of this webinar. I think you can get this sorted in about 11 days. That's my offer to you today. So let's get into this. Trader identity. Now, what's the problem we're facing? We're facing an issue of struggling to become consistent. So struggling to follow our rules, struggling to deal with FOMO, fear, revenge trading. We can't resist those things. So what's happening is our emotions are taking over and we can't seem to stay in our logical side. So our behavior is dictated by our feelings, and we're really struggling to get over that cycle. Now, this is very normal because trading is not that conducive to being a human. If you're just a normal human operating on kind of just normal emotions, if you're not really thinking about it, if you're not controlling it very much, we will slip into the emotional side of things. Trading just, it's not conducive to how we are as humans. So we have to start to try to control that side of things. Okay. Now, what is actually happening is that when we have losses, because it is losses that kind of trigger the emotional side of things. And by losses, I'm also talking about if you make a mistake on taking profit, so you leave money on the table, or you rode a trade up and then you rode it all the way down. That loss of gain is the same as a loss. It's got the same impact. So whether you've made an outright loss or you've lost profits, it's all losses. And we're too tied to the outcome. So a loss tells us we're bad, and when we take profits or we get a good win, we believe we're good. A tough day of trading is bad, and a good day is good. Our identity is very tied to the outcome of our trading. And that's why we're riding this roller coaster, because it's telling us good and then bad and good and bad, and our emotions are triggered. I don't know what your history is. This is very bespoke to you, but your history will dictate what triggers you and how it triggers you. Do you get angry? Do you get fearful? Do you get sad? Do you get depressed? Do you start gambling? I'm not sure, because we don't know your specific circumstance, but you will get triggered by all of these things because you're riding that identity of the outcomes, okay? And we can also call this our ego. Our ego, our sense of self, is tied to the outcomes of our trades or the outcomes of our days. Where we want to get to as traders is not to be tied like that, not to have our egos tied to the outcome of a trade or the outcome of a day. We want to just trade. A loss is a loss and a win is a win. We're just there to trade, okay? And we're struggling to do that because our egos are tied to those outcomes, okay? Now, there's a lot of work that we can do to sort that out. So what we're talking about today is a shortcut and a way to start tying your identity in a different way. Okay, so there's work we need to do on lots of levels. I do a lot of this work with coaching clients. So if you're interested in finding about coaching, contact Gerald below. There's a link. But this is a tool I'm going to introduce to you today, and it's a shortcut that you can make change very fast. but you need to understand that it is about your identity. Okay. So how do we disconnect from this roller coaster? We're going to do it by connecting our identity, so our ego at a certain level, because remember, there's going to be lots of levels of your ego, and there will be points where you'll still be triggered, right? Because we haven't really solved the whole thing. But at a surface level, tying your identity to that of a trader is the fastest way to start behaving better. Now let's dig into this. Why does this work? There are lots of identities that you have as a person. So perhaps you're a mother or a father, perhaps you are an athlete, perhaps you're a swimmer, perhaps you're a comedian, you're a musician, you belong to a club of sorts. Think of all these identities you have. A very strong identity is often associated with your job, okay? Now, I'm going to dig into a few of these so that you start to understand what I'm talking about when I say identity. Let's say you get a job at, I'm just going to put it out there, McDonald's. And the first few days, maybe first few weeks, you're going to feel very out of like a fish out of water. It's not going to be natural for you to be there. You'll probably make mistakes, or everything will feel a little bit overwhelmed. And there's a thinking that once you're there for, say, now 3 months, you learn everything you need to learn, and that's why you start becoming good at your job or part of the team. But the truth is, you can't learn everything there is about a job. You're constantly learning. There'll always be something else that comes up. What actually happens is that your identity shifts to being part of that McDonald's team. You're a McDonald's employee. Now, look, if you don't really want to be at your job, you're never going to really change your identity like this. So I'm talking about you really want this job, okay? You like your teammates, you are part of this group, your identity shifts. Now, what happens is that the way you greet customers becomes like the other people. The way you talk about orders, the lingo you use, the jokes you tell, the way you come in and say hi to your colleagues. There's going to be we can call it a culture, we can call it behavior, but there's an identity that takes over, and you become part of that identity. Now let's shift this identity to, there's a couple more I want to use, but I'm going to use that of a father. You're a father, your identity, one of your identities is that of a father. Now, fathers have different identities to mothers. Nothing's better or worse, it's just different. When you're with other fathers, the jokes you tell, the way you behave, the behavior is a group behavior. There's a defined behavior that if you really want to understand what it is, you've got to look at yourself before you became a father. You would have behaved differently. If you were suddenly in a group of men that were all fathers and you weren't a father, you would feel the difference. You couldn't really join in as well as you wanted to, perhaps on certain jokes. There's other levels you can connect with people, sure, but you're not connecting with them on that level. Let's now look at a swimmer. A swimmer's identity. If you're just a casual swimmer, you're probably turning up to the pool now and again. You probably miss some days, but a swimmer that probably joins a swimming club and swims with a team, their identity is very different. They're getting up very early. It's just normal for them. They might have a little moan about it, but they do it. they show up and they have kind of morning, whatever. I'm not a swimmer, so I don't know. If you belong to a baseball team or any sports teams, I belong to a tennis club. I belong to a tennis team. The way I am with my tennis team, we've got, when I first showed up, I felt very uncomfortable. You know, I didn't play very well because I was like, I felt I didn't belong. After playing a few times, I'm now one of the longest serving members in my team. I'm very comfortable in that team, as part of that team. The way we behave, the way we, plan our tennis meetups, the way you start to take on the culture, the behavior, the identity. You can have lots of identities, but you need to understand the shift that happens, and it happens in a very natural way, and you don't have to think about how you're behaving, how you're operating in that space of time. Now, a really easy one to think about, something that's hard to do, because we're talking about trading, and trading can be hard to do. So let's check that everything's working good. Is going on a diet. Okay. Now, there are people that are trying to diet, and then there are healthy focused people. We sometimes call them health nuts, or but they're happy being that. It's not hard for health nuts and healthy focused people, or people that have health as a priority, eating healthily. It's not hard for them to behave well when it comes to eating. They thrive on it, and their behavior is all about fueling themselves, eating well, the way they think about food, the way they think about what it does for them, how it's fueling them. And very, very importantly, when they eat things that are not good for you, processed foods, foods high in fat, the way they think about that, they limit that behavior, because they're like, it's not conducive to, it's not helpful to my ultimate goal. Their behavior is it just happens. They don't have to overthink it. Now, let's think about some of us that are sometimes trying to go on diets. We might make jokes about breaking our diet. We might be quite comfortable saying, oh, try to diet again on Monday, I broke it on Thursday. That's part of the culture of being a dieter, having an identity of trying to diet. A person with an identity of healthy eating does not make jokes like that. They don't say, oh, I tried to eat healthily, but by Wednesday I was, I ate a punnet of ice cream. It's not part of their culture. It's not part of their behavior. It's not part of their identity. They don't identify with that being a funny joke, because their identity is about health. Your identity is about trying to be on a diet. Now, when you successfully go on a diet, your identity becomes, I'm a healthy focused eating person. When your identity shifts, the dieting becomes so much easier. Now, most people never make the identity shift. This is the big issue. Most people never ever make that identity shift, because they're actually quite comfortable with the identity that they have. They'd rather stay being a wannabe dieter, trying to diet, because they enjoy the breaking of that diet. They enjoy the snacks, the processed food, that they're not actually committed, and they've never gone to the next level to go, let me address my identity. Now, identity doesn't just shift naturally. You've got to really want it, okay? But there's a book I want you to read if you are able to. It's called Atomic Habits. And if you want to form habits, you can, do tick boxes, like you can form steps. It's the hard way to do it. The easiest way to do it is to shift your identity, because then your behavior will be so much easier to do. It's like a hack that few people, I think, realize it. But if you really want a goal, the best thing you can do is to start taking on the identity of someone that has already achieved it, of a successful person in whatever your goal is. If you want to diet, you need to take on today the identity of a healthy person, because then you will behave like a healthy person. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly how to do this, because it's not going to, you can't just say, oh, I want that, and it happens. Okay, you've got to put in the work. So I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. What we want is we want the identity of a successful trader. That's the identity you want. So you have to stop relying on this identity of, oh, I'm trying to be a trader. Oh, you can't say things to yourself like, yeah, I'm trying to be a trader. Oh, I lost another account. Oh, and a successful trader does not talk like that. Losing an account is not just oh, I lost another account. It doesn't happen. We monitor and change our behavior before we get to breaking accounts. Okay, we blow accounts only when we're testing and putting live like a new high risk strategy that we know it's got a 50-50 chance of probably blowing this account, but I've got to go test it in the live markets. This is when we're blowing accounts, because we're like expecting to do that. We're not trading our main strategy and then just one trade blowing an account. This is not how successful traders work. They don't tolerate that kind of it's not a joke to them. It's actually that would be a very serious issue. So how do we now start shifting our behavior from saying I'm trying to be a trader, I want to be a trader, I'm not a successful trader yet? First of all, you've got to take that language out, completely out. No more language of I'm trying to be a trader, I want to be a trader, I'm struggling to be a trader. You now need to start to yourself calling yourself a trader. You're a successful trader. Okay. Let's talk about how to do this. There's two things you need to do. One is, and I'm going to tell you now the timeline. You can do this in about 11 days. 11 days is the same amount of time that you have to stop eating sugar for it to be out of your system. I believe that you can make a significant change in 11 days if you commit to doing this for 11 days. Now, 95% of traders fail because, in my belief, they never get unstuck. And they never get unstuck because they don't want to listen to information like this. They'll hear, oh, it's about identity, and they'll be like, no, it's about my strategy. I'm just going to study more charts. When they do find out about identity, they don't want to commit to this work for 11 days. Most people will just not do this work. It's not that hard. It really is not that hard. But it's about whether you will commit. The stats tell us only 5% of people will do this. So it's up to you, right? But this is where on day one already, it's like, are you a successful trader that will do what you need to do? Or do you want to keep identifying as not a successful trader, a struggling trader, a wannabe trader? It's up to you. Okay. Now, here's the two things you have to do. And I'd like you to commit for 11 days. Post in the comments if you've got questions as I go through this, or leave me a comment after. I'll come back and answer any questions. Okay, number one, for the next 11 days, you commit to visualization. You have to visualize what you as a successful trader looks like, okay? To have the identity, you have to visualize your future self. Why do we have to do this? Now, if we look at all the other identities you have, often it's identities that are part of a group. You will pick up that identity just by being surrounded by that group. Trading is not a group activity. It's a single, you're very much solo by yourself. So you have to do this for yourself. And to do this, you need to visualize yourself as a future trader, as a successful trader. If you visualize this for 11 days, you will start to see it clearly. On day one, you're probably going to struggle a bit. You're going to be like, I can't see myself like that. I'm struggling. That's okay. You've still done the visualization. A minimum of 90 seconds. Okay, it's not that long. It's a minute and a half for 11 days. Eventually, after day 2, day 3, you're going to start seeing a version of yourself. You're going to start seeing what you look like, what you feel like, how you sit, how you breathe. How does your successful self walk? Close your eyes and imagine yourself sitting trading. You're a successful trader. You're not FOMOing into trades. You're not struck by fear, unable to take. You're not revenge trading. That's not what your successful future self does. How are they operating? How are they holding themselves? How are they behaving as they're staring at charts? I'm looking over here because I'm looking at my own charts right now, and I'm visualizing as I'm talking. I'm visualizing myself. I still do it because there's always a new future version of yourself. If you want to understand the power of future visualizations, go and watch Matthew McConaughey's Oscar speech. He talks about his future self that he's always chasing. There's always a new future self that is better than your current version. You need to chase that future self. You can't chase it unless you can see that future self. And that future self will keep changing as you're changing, right? But any version of a successful trader is going to be an improvement on your current version if you're not yet consistent and profitable, okay? Visualization is something that I see so many people dismiss. They just don't. It's 90 seconds. They would rather go and spend another 2-5 hours studying a chart than spend 90 seconds visualizing their future selves. And this is the secret sauce. This is the secret hack. This is the fastest way to do it. Okay. Now, number 2. So there's only 2 things to do. One is visualizations. Number 2 is I alluded to it earlier. It's your self-talk, okay? You're no longer going to talk to yourself. I don't care if you don't want to tell other people that you're a trader, or you might say I'm trying to be a trader, but in your mind, you must know I'm saying this to other people because I just don't want to share my dreams with them yet. But to yourself, you have to call yourself a trader. I'm a trader. I'm a successful trader. Go to the mirror every day for the next 11 days and say it 5 times in the mirror to yourself, okay? I'm a successful trader. I'm a successful trader. Now, days 1 to 5, you're going to feel silly. You'll be like, this is so silly. Days 5 to 7, you're probably going to start resisting this if you haven't quit already, okay? Remember the quit rate. This is what sets the amateurs apart from the professionals, is just what you're willing to do, okay? What you're willing to consistently do. This is the start of consistency. Can you consistently do this? You'll probably start to resist it day 5 to 7. Day 7 to 10, you're just doing it because you're like, I've been doing it already for 10 days. I'm just going to keep doing it. And day 11 is when you start having a system change. You're going to start believing what you're saying. It's going to start landing. Your identity is going to start shifting. Now, why is this the secret sauce? Why is this the fastest hack? Because once your identity is tied with a successful trader, you're going to start behaving like a successful trader. You're constantly going to be thinking, how does a successful trader work? How does a successful trader think? How does a successful trader show up? How does a successful trader have a trading routine? When you've had 2, 3 winners and you just can't help yourself and you keep trading, you're going to have something that says to you, would a successful, consistent trader keep just hacking away at trades with no plan, with just hope and kind of like just gambling for the addiction? No, we don't behave like that. It's very foreign to us. It's going to start becoming foreign to you. Now, there's a lot of other work that you also need to do. If you want to surround yourself with day-to-day how to think, how to behave, study successful people. Secondly, there's a link below. Find my YouTube channel. I post daily videos just sharing how I'm thinking, what I'm doing. If you just watch those every day, it's going to start helping to fuel the way. It's going to start giving you that identity. I know that trading is a solo activity, but this kind of like how we behave and how we think is shared, and I share it on my channel every day. You can join that and just subscribe, get the notifications, and you can get that into your, just absorb that every day. After a certain amount of time, it's just going to start becoming, you're going to start thinking how I think. You're going to start having the same mindset that I have. You do have to work on this stuff. You do have to do the visualizations. Just, just do what I'm telling you to do here. It will work. And if you've got questions, post them. I'll come by and answer them throughout the week. But the main question for you is, are you willing to try this? Are you sick of going around in circles? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. If you haven't gotten the result you want yet, which is successful, consistent trading, you're going to have to consider what you've been doing. Is all those hours at the charts really helping you, or do you keep succumbing to falling for FOMO, revenge trading, fear? This is where the real work is. This is what psychology and mindset is. Psychology is just your behavior, and this is how we start shifting your behavior from a struggling, inconsistent trader to a consistent, profitable, successful trader. So just make the decision right now. Right now, you're a consistent, profitable, successful trader. Start adopting that identity. Do this work for the next 10 to 11 days. And the main question is, are you going to do it? I'll see you next week. Phoenix Coalition. Thanks for that. That's my favorite emoji. I often do this emoji because you have to be so strong as a trader. We've got to trade through a lot of hard days. Got to do things most people aren't willing to do. So I use that emoji a lot because I think it just sums us up. Mentally, we're very, very, very strong. Okay, guys, I appreciate you joining, and have a great week. Have a successful trading week ahead. And just remember, today you just need to be 1% better than you were yesterday. You don't have to suddenly conquer the whole mountain today. Just be 1% better. It's going to start snowballing. Over a year, you're actually almost 400% better than you were a year ago. That's enormous. So it's small things add up. I'll see you.